If you guys didn't see, people are not very happy right now with the VRS system, which is it's borderline impossible to grind your rank up. You have a fully closed down the entire system and you kill orgs that aren't currently ranked top 30. We went through 6 open qualies versus multiple paid teams. How is anyone supposed to get up when almost nothing is ranked? So the problem that has kind of like rose up, and I just want to say like my bit that I always say, VRS is scuffed, but if you completely rework an entire scene and how it works, the idea that it's not going to be scuffed for at least any period of time, let alone right when it's like starts, is kind of, well, I just think you maybe underestimate how all of this stuff works. Maybe, I don't know, that doesn't excuse it, but I'm just saying, I just hope to see like changes being made quickly so that way lower tier events can still access the scene with VRS points to give teams that are newly forming ways to grind their way up. Because without that, then yes, then his tweet is entirely true. Like if things currently stay the way they are, the ability for people to work their way up into top 30 to start getting events is incredibly tough. Like the way that, but I also think that this is from one, lack of understanding of how some of these events are supposed to be set up, and two, like I said, I think this is just trial and error. You don't take a system that is quite literally just franchised with extra steps, which is what we had before, that a lot of people didn't understand or even know. Like the vast majority of people that weren't diehard Counter-Strike fans did not know. Like if you just loaded up Twitch every day and you just saw that ESL was top of the directory or Blast was top of the directory, you click it. You did not realize that the reason you're watching those two teams play is because somebody paid millions of dollars for them to just have a seat at the table. Everybody sat there thinking that those were just the top teams because that's the way it's always been, and they've always, well, that's because they paid to be there. So I don't think that magically that entire system just gets dissolved and then we go to a brand new system and have it all be sunshines and rainbows. I think it's gonna suck. So I feel bad for the players, and as somebody that's trying to run events for like lower tier players myself, I could tell you the people that I rely on, because I'm gonna be brutally honest. I fuck, dude. I barely understand. I understand more than most, but not enough to like speak with some authority. But the people that I rely on to actually know what the hell they're talking about, it's not that Valve has created some awful system as much as they've just left way too much open to interpretation, which is a problem because if Valve doesn't have somebody full-time responding to everybody, which the devs respond to people, but like they need like a full-time person to do this, especially when it all starts. You can't just have like a dev that's like working on the game and be like, oh yeah, my email ESL is asking if I could. That's bad, and that's kind of the problem. The system itself isn't totally broken. It's just that like there's too much open for interpretation to where you have to go talk to Valve, and then talking to Valve is talking to a brick wall. That's the problem. HLTV just talked about it. Valve gets all their VRS info from HLTV, and HLTV doesn't have the main power to cover every single match in open qualifier. No, they don't. You want me to watch this? What is this?
Shout out Snappy one time.
The next one that I just want to quickly tick off the list before the tier 2 stuff, though, is to do with the February invite cutoff. So you had a little tweet thread with Mark Winther where he didn't think that it was going to be a mid-event thing, but turns out you were right.
Well, it would have always been a mid-event thing, but his point was that it was not supposed to include the teams that finished Katowice already, effectively. Okay. I think he also, I mean, I would imagine they also are not super happy about the play-in being kind of its separate own thing. I mean, that's obviously how we kind of deal with that, and that partly is also how Valve deals with that as a result. But his thinking was more, I don't know if you two guys are aware of this, if you saw this conversation, was that teams who finished the event and have had their prizes set have the entire impact of the tournament on the VRS, while the ones that are still alive have their prize money effectively at 0 out of this tournament because they haven't finished.
Oh, that's crazy.
A minimum amount, right? And so that's a valid argument, because
that's actually
there will be
so
situations where you would be incentivized to lose the game just so you can get those points as soon as possible, because if you're somewhere on that edge, you would literally...
No, yeah, that's super scuffed. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, we're going to have growing pains, and this is just a total, like, that's not how it should work. If you guys, sorry, I did have the volume low, I apologize, but basically, teams that are still in Katowice are not getting any points because their prize pool is still set to 0, where teams that literally got eliminated are getting their points. So, and then the invites went out. So, everybody that got knocked out had their points moved because they're already out and got their shit established because they literally lost. And then the teams that are still in aren't getting any VRS moved up or down because they're literally still in the tournament. And then the invites have gone out for another event. So, so this is, once again, I am not saying VRS is good. I'm just simply saying I don't even think we know what is good and bad yet because logistically this shit's such a mess. Like, that and somebody once again dropped the ball. I still like really I think I'm almost like realizing this myself literally right now. And I just said it earlier, but I like to really hammer it home. I just think Valve needs somebody like one person that is actually sitting here that is going to events and just like the tier ones, especially off the rip, and then is like responsive to people like in the tier 2, like tier 2, tier 3, somebody that's like just responding. They're going to an event. Their whole job is to exist to try to make sure that the bridge is there between all the entities. And then you have somebody that basically is in constant communication or can receive communication from people that are trying to run lower tier events. And I can tell you, I know that people are trying to work on it, but this also, I don't know how you can realistically expect somebody to be working on the game and manage this at the same time. Valve tries their best to create systems where like they're just kind of like pushing and then just like hands off. But with this system, especially to get it off the ground, I just don't, it's going to be so bad if they don't get somebody in the middle to at least, even if it's temporary, like just temporarily to make that bridge for the scene, because otherwise it's just going to be so much worse than it has to be, I think. Like yeah, essentially, yes, they need an admin for VRS. Yes. Because Valve has created their own system and their own fucking thing, and they want to do this. And I don't even hate that they're doing this. Like, I don't hate that Valve stepped in and said, like, people pay. We don't want like full franchise closed off stuff. This isn't really what we believe in. That's fine. I actually like that. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you're going to completely revamp an entire scene and the way it works without somebody adminning it and like being the mediator in that time to make sure it kind of all comes together, then it's just going to get worse. They're like, that's how I feel. It's not even that if an admin steps in, all of these problems magically go away, but I imagine they'll be communicated and fixed a lot faster. I think that's kind of where I'm at with this now. Like, I'm like reading that. Not some new take. Literally formula. Like, this is the freshest. This is just like in my head. I'm just like, I just can't see any world where this doesn't continue to just be a problem for a long, like it's just, it doesn't need to be this bad. It doesn't need to be. Shout out Sicko for getting that clip there. Hey, also make sure you guys watch all of their content. Those guys do good shit. Are they in Katowice right now? Yeah, this is HLTV confirmed. Yeah, they're literally live right now. Make sure you guys give them some love.